In 6:32, I'd like to call the Tuesday, March 18th council meeting to order. We stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call has been taken. Ms. Ryerson?
Yes.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a change in the agenda because the public was notified that the public hearing on the rezoning of parcels, agenda item 5 would take place at 7:03. We need to change an order of the agenda to have the items, agenda item number 5 and agenda item number 7D take place after the report of officers, along with the planning commission after the public hearing. So I am looking for a motion to approve the agenda with items 5 and 7D after the report of officers.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Croy, seconded by Mr. Herder. Any other additions or subtractions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's changed. Next, looking for a motion to approve the February 19th, 2025 and February 27th, 2025 special common council meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, seconded by Mr. Fache. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we'll move on to Mr. Dorsey, authorization to pay the bills.
Yes, Your Honor, make a motion for the authorization to pay the bills in the amount of $698,099.36.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorkey, seconded by Mr. Fache. Any further discussion? You can place your vote. Motion carried 10-0. The next item line got moved. So next, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, come on up. Step forward to microphone, state your name. Limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. She's all yours.
Thank you, Your Honor and New Dublin City Council for giving me a few moments to speak here. I am Jeff Kilbranson. I am running for Alderman for District 4, coming up on the April 1st election. A longtime resident of the city. I've been involved in youth sports. Been having some great conversations with constituents in my area. They've got great ideas and great expectations of the city, and I can see things are definitely going in the right direction. So if anybody has any questions for me, definitely feel free to reach out and get out and vote on April 1st. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your time. Any other public comment?
Is this where I can I'm not sure how this works. I can come up and say something?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Carl Kahneman, lifetime resident here in New London. I have a concern about the area by the bus garage here on County Highway X. On several occasions, as I've driven by it in the early morning, stuff like that, I've watched many of the bus drivers, they have to park across County Highway X, okay? Week and a half ago was a really close incident that I had actually mentioned something to Bernie about it and John Fache about it stuff. As I was going down to the bait shop in the morning, still dark out, had two people, a gentleman and a woman coming across, which were bus drivers. They were like right in the middle of County Highway X. I had a vehicle come in on the X as I was heading out. Literally, I couldn't tell you how fast he was going, but he was doing more than the speed limit. Never even acknowledged that them people were in the middle of the road at all. I've seen this on several occasions where they don't even stop for these people in the middle of the road. My concern is that maybe we could use maybe like a type of a crosswalk system there that signals them to let them know that they are in that roadway there and stuff like that before one of them actually gets taken out. Because they were like 3 feet from them the other day. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. They didn't even acknowledge that these people were there. And it was a little dark yet in the early morning and stuff like that, but these are the people that are hauling your children, back and forth to school every day. They shouldn't have to put their life on the line just to cross the road to get to their job. Whether it's some type of system where they push a button when they get up to it, shows a flashing light, whatever. But something is gonna have to be done there before something seriously happens to one of our bus drivers here in the city. Cause it's not right. It's bad enough they gotta park across the road. But it's getting to be a busy road, especially this time of year with walleye fishing and stuff like that, so. But something should be done. That's my concern. Hopefully something can be figured out.
So Chad, that is county road, correct?
Correct. Carl, if you want to reach out to the office, we've had these discussions in the past. This isn't an area that we talk about it, in this part of the agenda, but we have talked about that in the past, and I can bring you up to speed with some of those conversations. So just reach out to me in the office if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
obviously a great discussion. I mean, we don't need nobody to get hit. And,
Before something I think it could be a simple fix. It's just a matter of getting it done, so.
Yep.
All right,
All right,
thank you.
any other public comment? Any other public comment? If none, we were gonna close the public comment. Let's move on to the standing and special committees. Board of Public Works, Mr. Barrington.
Board of Public Works met on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Meeting was open at 5:15. Motion to approve the agenda was made, seconded, carried. 11-0. There was no public input. Motion, Barrington, for approval of minutes of February 3rd. Motion carried 11-0. Wastewater treatment plant, the notes were included in the packet. No comments on them. The next was consider for approval of a stormwater management plan with Celestial Hills Limited Liability Corporation. Director Garsky deferred to Chad, City Administrator, to go over the stormwater management plan for the development of Celestial Hills. This defines the responsibilities of the city, the developer owner, and any landowners association. Motion made and second to consider and recommend for approval a stormwater management plan with Celestial Hills. Motion carried 11-0. Next item, approve and recommend to council DTAC limited liability brush agreement for 2025. Director Garsky recommended that the contract be extended for another year with DTAC Limited Liability Corporation for tree and branch debris disposal. It was noted that there was an increase of $500 up to $12,500 for this year. Motion made and seconded to approve to recommend to council DTAC Limited Liability Brush Agreement for 2025. Motion carried 11-0. Discussion on city snow plowing. Director Garsky addressed the snow windrows across driveway ends to the committee. There have been several complaints and recommendations for removal or prevention of this occurring during snow events. Director Garsky explained each option thoroughly, but due to the amount of manpower, equipment needs, and damage that could cause to property, there was no viable options for the city. No motion was taken at this time. Next was the director's report. The director's memo included in the agenda packet was reviewed by the board. Anniversaries, Lane Hanadel, wastewater operator number 2, 4 years of service. Oshkosh Street, north end will be closed on March 3rd. Intersection of Washington Street and Oshkosh will remain open to through traffic through June 9th. School is out by then. Construction will skip over the intersection and continue towards Pershing Road if needed. House and Elkan Road bidding is scheduled for 3/11/2025. Preliminary preparation for 2026 Highway 54 and Shadow Street intersection will be taking place. Future agenda items, citywide contracted garbage collection. Date of the next meeting will be Monday, April 17th, April 7th, 2025, 5:15. No further. Mission was closed. I move to consider approval of brush agreement with DTAC for 2025.
Motion made by Mr. Barrington, second, Mr. Dorsey. Any further discussion? If not, place your vote. Motion carried 10-0.
I move to consider approval of stormwater management plan with Celestial Hills Limited Liability Corporation and Ingrid Limited Liability Corporation.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Barrington, second, and Mr. Besaw. Any further discussion? Cast your ballot. Dorsey. Motion carried 10-0.
That's all I have tonight, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Barrington. Let's move on to finance and personnel. Mr. Dorsey.
Yes, Your Honor, Finance and Personnel Committee met Wednesday, March 5th. Meeting was called to order at 5:15. Motion was made and seconded to approve the February 5th meeting minutes. There was no public comment. Harry Allen, municipal advisor, presented the detailed information on the 2.1 million sewage, water and electric system mortgage revenue bond series 2025A. Purpose of this bonding is to fund Oshkosh Street infrastructure, including sewer and water. Motion was made and seconded to recommend to council moving forward with the 2.1 million revenue bonds for the Oshkosh Street project. The wellness policy was presented by Administrator Hertz, who explained that the initial purpose of the wellness policy was to promote health and wellness by allowing health insurance eligible employees the ability to use the wellness facilities free of charge. Ultimately, the goal of allowing the free access to the wellness facilities was healthier employees, which would mean less claims to the city's health insurance plan, thus lowering or controlling the premium increases. Alderman Haas had requested the committee look at extending the use of the wellness facilities free of charge to all city employees, including elected officials. Hertz said this benefit would fit more into a retention, recruitment, selling point. Alderman Haas felt allowing free access to the facilities would give elected officials the ability to be more visible. Alderperson Croy said all employees should have access to allowing more word of mouth promotion for the programs. Alderman Boucher spoke of the feeling of being part of the broader team. Mayor Herter suggested a seasonal or part-time employees have better physical condition to do their jobs. When talking of the retiree benefits, Alderperson Croy said it is a way to say thank you for their dedication to the city. The motion was made by Boucher, second by Dorsey, to have staff develop a policy allowing wellness facility access to all employees of the city, including elected officials, retirees, and their spouses/dependents, and present the policy for consideration at the March 18th council meeting. Administrator Hertz presented the annual farm lease agreement for ag purposes. The city owns land in the industrial park and leases it to local farmers. These lease updates the insurance and liability information and increases the annual cost per acre. Motion is made and seconded to recommend to council approval of the annual farm lease agreement. Administrator Hertz presented the information he received on a similar tower lease contracts. After discussion with the tower company attorney and statewide county data, the city lease rate is average or above average in most cases. Motion is made and seconded to recommend to council approval of the lease tower contract. The financial reports were reviewed. Motion is made and seconded to recommend to council approval of the resolution amending the assigned fund balance. The library reserve was updated to include an unspent grant money, and the boat launch reserve was updated to include the $2023. Financial director's report was discussed. There be no further business. Motion made second to adjourn. The next regular scheduled finance and personnel committee meeting will be held at council chambers on April 2nd at 5:15. Make a motion to consider an approval of the monthly license list.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Herter. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried.
Move to consider the approval of the resolution amending the assigning 2024 fund balance.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Boucher. Any further discussion? All in favor, roll call vote, please. That is carried 10-0.
Make a motion for consider and approval of the annual farm lease.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Barrington. Any further discussion on that? Please cast your ballot. That also carried 10-0.
Make a motion to consider the approval of expanding the eligibility to the city's employee wellness program.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Herter. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. That also carried 10-0.
Make a motion to consider approval of the lease agreement with Ensite Tower Holdings LLC.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Ritchie. Any further discussion on that? Please cast your ballot. Also carried 10-0.
Motion to consider the approval of the scope of engagement agreement with Quarles and Brady.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, seconded by Mr. Besaw. Any further discussion on that? Please cast your ballot. Mr. Besaw. That motion is carried 10-0.
Motion to consider the approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance and establishing perimeters for the sale of not to exceed 2.1 million sewerage, water, and electric system mortgage revenue bond series 2025A of the city of New London, Outagamie, and Wapaka counties, Wisconsin, and providing for the payment of the bonds and other details with respect to the bonds.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Dorsey, second by Mr. Barrington. Before we take a vote, Harry Allen from Ellers is on Zoom if anybody has any questions. He's here if we have any other further questions, otherwise. Questions, please cast your ballot.
Bernie.
Motion carried 10-0. Thanks, Harry. You must did a good job the first time. Nobody any questions.
That is all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Dorsey. Next, Park and Recreation, Mr. Besaw.
There was no Park and Rec meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Besaw. We are skipping Planning Commission at the moment. So we will slide into Economic Development Committee. Ms. Croy.
Thank you. The Economic Development Committee meeting on Tuesday, February 25th was called to order at 5:15. The agenda was approved and that was carried by all. The minutes from the January 28th, 2025 were reviewed. Motion to approve the minutes as presented, carried by all. There was no public comment provided. Lori Dellinger, Van Elstein, and Joe Van Elstein provided information on the New London Community Fund, which they established in 2022. Lori had previously been involved in the Wapaka Community Fund, and after some research, they discovered that New London did not have a similar fund. Seeing that neighboring communities had successful funds, they recognized a great opportunity to start one in New London. The account is set up as an endowed fund and is managed by the Community Foundation of the Fox Valley region. Their initial goal was to raise $200,000, which they achieved in June of 2024. To date, they have raised approximately $236,000. In the future, the local board of directors will need to be formed to assist with fundraising and grant distribution. Their goal is to reach between $250,000 and $300,000, at which point the fund will be large enough to begin awarding grants to nonprofit groups in the community. The community thanked Joe and Lori for the information and their efforts on starting the fund. Administrator Hirth provided an update on the digital billboard advertising project initially planned for March on the Highway 15 billboard in Greenville. After learning that the Highway 15 or the Northland Avenue Bridge over Highway 41 was recently closed, resulting in decreased traffic counts in the area, staff and business stakeholders decided to pause the advertising campaign for the time being. The city was approached by Northland Electric regarding the purchase of land in the Northeast New London Business Center for a new development. The proposal involves purchasing 2 acres from the city to construct a multi-use building that will accommodate Northland Electric's warehouse needs and include 2 leasable business suites. A motion was made to instruct the city administrator to negotiate an agreement with Northland Electric to purchase property in the Northeast Business Center. This motion was carried by all. Chamber Director's Business Report, a new business called K & Company, providing a combined salon and retail business, is opening on March 3rd at 315 South Pearl Street. The US Cellular store in the city has been purchased and now owned by Next Generation Wireless. The Chamber is sponsoring a ribbon cutting for Huckleberry Area Campground on March 28th to highlight their new renovations. Commercial listing reports, 2 buildings at 1200 North Shawano Street has come on the market at a price of $3.2 million. The Wolf River Plaza has dropped the price to $950,000. City Administrator's Report. Hirth stated that the city is working with the owner of a Labrador breeding business who is interested in relocating their existing business to New London. The city remains focused on developing TID 7, which will require new roads to access the eastern areas of the district. As a part of this effort, the city plans to remove and recycle old road base from the upcoming Oshkosh Street reconstruction project for use in TID 7. The committee reviewed potential items for the next committee meeting. The next meeting is scheduled to be held on March 25th at 5:15 p.m. Motion to adjourn was made at 6:05 p.m., carried by all. And that is all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Croy. Next, we're going to move on to the minutes and reports distributed. They're going to stand as read in your packet. We're going to move on to reports of officers on recent events and announcements to the public. I will take the mayor's comments. Mayor appointed Becky Shaway as a citizen member to the Park and Rec Committee. And next I have a proclamation proclaiming April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in New London. Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture set aside a special day for planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first developed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the emission of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-given oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our houses, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our community increase property values, enhancing economic vitality of business areas and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, Mayor Mark Herter, Mayor of City of New London, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day in the City of New London, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees that gladden the heart and promote well-being of this and future generations. Next, we will move on to the proclamation honoring retiring Police Chief Jeff Schlueter. Proclamation honoring retiring Police Chief Jeff Schlueter. To all those present, let it be known that Jeff Schlueter commenced his service to the New London Police Department on January 1st, 1996. And since that time, he was loyally served the residents of the City of New London. And whereas Jeff Schlueter provided top-notch leaderships to the New London Police Department Chief of Police for 15.5 years and protected the City of New London extraordinarily well over the course of his 29 years of service. And whereas Chief Schlueter has been awarded Medal of Valor, year 2000, Outagamie Best Badge Award in Outstanding Investigation, 2006, Narcotics Officer of the Year, 2006, Exceptional Service Award, 2010, and the DNR's Harold D. Hattrick Award for Excellence in Investigations, 2023. And whereas Chief Schlueter's contributions were numerous and included, but were not limited to, implementing the drone program, remodeling the police department, establishing 2 part-time school resource officers, define our 4 staff sergeant positions, 1 on each shift, creating a permanent detective and drug detective position, obtaining an emergency response unit vehicle for all events and crime scenes, upgrading to Spillman dispatch system, upgrading defibrillators, bulletproof vests, squad computers, and equipment like the RAP, creating the Community Service Officer Program, and installing traffic and city cameras for investigating assistance. Now, therefore, it will be resolved that Mark Herter, Mayor of City of New London, do hereby express my sincere appreciation and gratitude for Jeff Schlueter's dedication and commitment to the city. And I wish him the best and continued success in retirement and future endeavors. Given under my hand and sealed this 18th day of March, 2025, Mayor Mark Herter. Next, we can move on to Clerk, Ms. Ryerson.
Information on the spring primary election turnout was included in your council packets. It was a slow, long day. We only had 8% of registered voters turn out for that February election. But as always, our poll workers did an excellent job serving people that day. Early in-person voting for the April 1st spring election has started today and will go through Friday, March 28th during our office hours. So if people want to come out and vote because they can't make it to the polls on April 1st, they're welcome to do so 7:30 to 4:30 Monday through Thursdays and 7:30 to 11:30 on Fridays. Like I just mentioned, the spring election will be on April 1st. If voters want information on that election, they can go to myvotewi.gov. That'll tell you your polling place, your status of your absentee ballots, if they're, are on their way back to us or are their way to you, and all sorts of election information. So we're geared up and ready for the April 1st election.
Thanks, Ms. Ryerson.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to City Administrator, Mr. Hurt.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to continue to take the opportunity to remind and let downtown property and business owners of the city's downtown facade grant. Again, it's a $4,000 matching grant to help improve the building facades in the downtown district. The initial application submittal deadline is on Friday, March 28th at 11 a.m. After the initial round of applications have been awarded, any remaining funds in the program will be considered on a first come, first served basis. I do have several applications in already, so if anybody's interested in that, don't delay. If you have any questions in the program, please reach out to the office and let me know. Lastly, I'd like to take the opportunity to recognize our city clerk, Nicole Ryerson, who has completed 4 years of service with the city on March 16th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orth. Next, Chief of Police, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, to introduce myself, for those of you who don't know, my name is Josh Wilson, been appointed the interim chief since Jeff Schleter's retirement. I started with the police department in 2001, so this transition by the Police and Fire Commission is searching for their chief. Hopefully it will go smooth. At the police department, we're busy preparing for the Irish Fest Saturday parade, working with our staffing and arrangements and assignments, working with other local jurisdictions to assist and ensure everybody has a safe time at the parade and Irish festivities. And then I'd like to recognize Staff Sergeant Luke Curtis for completing 7 years of service.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Being 7:03, we're gonna stop right there. And we're gonna go back to line item 5, a public hearing for rezoning on parcels number 3312, 7712, the Beer Garden, number 333065, 612, Northland, number 333043, 500, 601, Monmouth Street, and 3313, 100, 1/3313, 120, Southland Lane. If the public would like to speak during the public hearing, we would ask that you come forward to the microphone, state your name, limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, and you must stick to the topic of rezoning of parcels. You have any comment? Sure, step forward.
Evening, everybody. Fred Graham. I live on Pershing Road. This rezoning that they're doing. Kind of nice getting a letter. Is this the first notice, second notice, or third notice? Nobody knows? Because none of us that live out there were informed about that project going in back there on Beckert Road. There was no public notice that anybody in the city, there were no community meetings, and the people that have lived there all their life were not noticed. I never received a letter. What was going on back there? The ones that did get it said it was the third reading. A lot of them said, well, we're F, they already passed it. Now, I want this ceased. I want a full investigation. Because there's supposed to be a 20-foot easement, correct? So that means from the edge of my property, there's supposed to be a 20-foot lane going all around that property. So if we have to get in our backyard, we can get in our backyards with equipment, correct? What, nobody here knows what I'm talking about?
Chad?
It's a public hearing, so it's an opportunity to voice your opinion, but it's not an opportunity to debate and provide information. So I would have to look into your comments, what you're talking about.
Well, apparently there is no communication in this city with the landowners. My parents bought that property in 54. I was born in 55. I've been there all my life. I am the oldest resident in that section. Tom and Sue King, Matt, and then the people in the yellow house. The neighbor to the east of me is new, neighbor to the west of me is new. So there's 3 people, properties there that have been that say 5 years or less. But I've been there all my life. Lois Mathewson was the oldest. She was not happy about this. Like I said, nobody was informed. So I'm gonna ask you right now, what is this rezoning for tonight? What are they doing back there? Are they changing it to different buildings? Are there gonna be homes? Or are there gonna be like these little apartments across the street from me? What's going on?
The rezoning is for changing the zoning on those parcels from R1, single family, to R2, which would allow single family and two-family units on those parcels. So no commercial, no multifamily as in over the two-family. It's simply to go from R1 to R2 to allow single family and two-family dwellings on those parcels.
So who can I meet with? And who's the attorney for the city?
Mr. Steckbauer.
Who?
I'm not sure what meeting with me would accomplish. This is a legislative decision.
I couldn't hear you.
This is a legislative decision of the council. This is not an issue for me per se that I can think of.
Well, I advise anybody in here that's on the council, you go look at that, because they built 2 homes off of Walmer Lane. They went from where the fence is, where the ditch, and come up. Here's the house right here on the edge of the ditch. Like I said, all of us on Pershing have no access to our properties in case something happens. We have to have somebody come in, trim trees, or do something. We can't get in there now because there's a ditch. I'd like this looked into.
Okay, thank you for
So
your
who
time.
can I talk to and when can we do this?
Like you said, this is just a public comment for right now.
All right,
Thank you for your
Because-
time.
no, I wanna know, who's gonna take care of this?
Well, this, it's something you got the whole council in front of you right now that's listening to you. And this matter will be voted on after the public hearing. So we're collecting all the data and comments from you guys. I mean, we've made a decision already. We've talked about this. It was in our last planning commission meeting. That was publicized in the meeting, what was gonna be talked about. And this is just a public comment, and then we are going to go to the planning commission for a vote.
Well, hope these guys do the right thing and vote it down. It's like I said, there's no access to any of us. And what they did out there by digging that ditch around back of properties, if you look at where the church is, everything is cut off. And like I said, we used not to have noticed all of us residents prior to this being done. We're not having a public meetings on this, open discussion for all the community, and especially us residents. And you went ahead and did this project. And it's all illegal. There's guys out there working now, there've been guys out there working all winter. When do we get peace and quiet from all this? There should be nobody working out there in the winter time. There should be no construction work. But yet I keep getting told they can do what they want when they want.
Okay, we're gonna have to ask you to move on since we've moved to a limited 3 minutes, and thank you for your input and appreciate it. And we have any other public comment? Step forward, whoever. Yep.
Where's the microphone?
Come sit down in the chair right there.
Thank you. Good evening, Patty Dearson. I reside at 1835 Mayflower Court. I am telling you that myself and several other people sitting back there, our families are not at all in favor of making this an R2. We already have all of those apartments back there. It has had increased traffic. I am a member of Trinity, the church that's right there. We have heard people in cars racing around our island where people park cars. We're not looking for any more vandalism and things in our neighborhood. I don't think Oshkosh Street is built well enough to handle more traffic going in and out. When the subdivision first started, we were told that it was not going to go through. It would go from Oshkosh and then it would stop at Walmer, whatever the name of that street is right there, that it was not going to go all the way through and become Southland. I understand the gentleman's feelings about not knowing about it. We're not that far away from
this residential area, and we know nothing about it. Had it not been for my backdoor neighbor who lives exactly right at that intersection, and she told us about the meeting, we wouldn't have known anything about it. There already are 2 homes built on Southland for $500,000. And they back up to those apartments. It could take a little while for those houses to sell. I don't know that I would purchase a house right there. So I would like you to really think about it, go back to the planning commission or who's ever in charge of all of this and speak with them, but I would ask that you delay voting on this evening until we can have further discussion on it and explain our thoughts. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your time. Anyone else like to make a comment? Step on up.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Gilgee. I live directly across from Southland Lane. When the development first started, Mr. Retzloff had informed us that this was going to be residential, private residential only. He mentioned he was gonna put up a nice tree line between us and the apartment building, so we didn't have to look at that. He said that there were gonna be restrictive covenants in there, that it was going to be so much square footage, so much brick, it was going to be nice residential area, because we were concerned about them building this right across from us. So, you know, like Patty had said, the traffic has been unbelievable, not to mention there's nowhere for all the children that live in these apartment buildings to go. So you already have 20 lots there. Then you build duplexes, that's gonna be 40 more families living in that condensed area. And, you know, kids are riding their bikes up and down the roads and stuff because there's nowhere else for them to go. So I agree. I wish that you would all reconsider rezoning that to duplexes. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Mhm.
Step on up.
Referring to what the 2 ladies just said with the additional noise and that. There's nights I can't even open the windows in my house because of the cigarette smell and the noise. Everything at night, anybody that hunts knows the downturns come down a hill. I wake up some mornings and smell garbage being burned or burnt garbage. And like she said, the traffic, the people racing through back there. Like I said, it's just, I would sincerely ask too, delay the vote on this night, bring this back, start talking to the people that live out there, get their feelings. Understand how we feel about this, what's going on. And I agree with what she said. Them 2 houses that were built there, who in their right mind would, you got a big frickin' 2-story duplex or whatever you want to call it, and you got a house right in front of it. Who wants property like that? This was not thought out. And like I said, there was no discussion on this. Nobody knew what was going on. I was promised things. They have not happened. I've had damage to my property. I've had stuff taken. I've made complaints about the police department. I keep getting told nothing they can do about it. So I hope these guys here take into consideration. Do not vote on this tonight. Look into this. Go out and do your research. Look at what the laws are. Look at how this is supposed to be built. Like I stated, the letters that were delivered, the people that received them when I looked at them said there was supposed to be a 20-foot easement. There was not. There was no public notification. Us residents were not notified. And they were agreeing. Nobody knew what was going on. All of a sudden, wham, bam, there it is. So, appreciate you listening, and I hope you don't vote on this. Anything coming up for this rezoning, nullify it. Bring it back to the people and talk to them. And see how we feel about this before you proceed with anything more. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time. Do we have any further comments?
Yeah, Dan Long, 1906 Pershing. I got my back to the settlement pond.
which is fine. I'm not gonna have neighbors regardless of what they build there, except for fish. And I'm perfectly okay with that. As far as building duplexes instead of houses, they're not selling at $500,000. And I don't think the duplexes are gonna sell at $500,000 either. That's just crazy optimistic. But as far as building duplexes instead of houses, I don't care. And you, sir? Yeah. You should probably figure out who your district people are and talk to them directly.
Don't do no good.
Because this ain't the time or the place.
Yes, it is.
Okay, let's just leave this one comment at a time, sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're still here, yep.
That's it.
Okay, thank you for your
Yeah,
time.
they want to build duplexes, rock on.
Okay, thanks for your time.
Hi, I'm Barbara Lowe. I live at 1906 Pershing. The drainage pond is now part of our backyard. It's dangerous. It was designed dangerously. I was told that there would be a fence around it. There is no fence. From the back edge of our property, if I'm mowing the lawn, back edge of my lawn, if I'm not careful, I'll roll the lawnmower down a hill into the pond. I was told that there was going to be a fence around it. There were all kinds of things he said he was going to do to make it look nice. And now it's just a pond that's, really at a very steep angle. The banks of it are very steep. I think it was extremely poorly planned. And if I had kids, I'd have to be building a fence along the back there to keep them from rolling down the hill into it. It's just really dangerous. I don't trust the person who bought this because of the things he promised. And I guess I'm a little anxious that if duplexes are built, that there will be a higher population pressure in that area, where we were told it was just going to be single family houses and it would be nice yards behind them and just a nice neighborhood. If it becomes duplexes, that will change from what we were originally told. So my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you for your time. Any further discussion? Anybody else want to comment? Any more comments? Seeing no more comments, we're gonna close.
Or is it all the person you comment during the meeting under the discussion?
Discuss under that agenda item.
Huh? If I want to make a public comment, do I go there? Can I do it?
Public comment, you'd have to go there.
You're gonna do a public comment versus just.
Okay, state your name.
Dave Dorsey, Alderman, District 4, 1714 Jefferson Street. I was apprehensive when we started this process for that to be rezoned. I did not know of all the promises that were made to the people that live around there. I do think we need to reconsider number 3. Get some input on that. I had no idea that Randy said to put tree lines up. I don't know what he's telling them that live around there. And all right, the road is not designed to come out where it's coming out for 40 families. It's just not. So I think we should reconsider that one and at least look into it, because they're correct. If he's promising things that he's not doing, this is really going to kick him. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further comments? Any further comments? Seeing none, we are gonna close that public hearing at 7:21. Next, we move on to the planning commission. Ms. Croy. Oops, sorry, but Mr. Ritchie, sorry about that.
The meeting was called to order at 5:15. It's for February 27th, 25. Motion was made and seconded to adopt the agenda. Approved by all. January 30th, 2025 minutes were reviewed. Planning Commission Chair opened a public comment agenda item and no response after 3 inquiries. Chair closed the public meeting. Ben Roy from Van de Hay and Associates led a discussion on the zoning code rewrite. A draft zone map was provided for the discussion along with the overview of the draft zone districts and process behind how they applied within the draft zone map. The first of 4 requests for rezoning of properties was from Ingrid Properties to rezone 20 adjacent properties on the newly created section of Southland Lane from R1 single family to R2 single family duplex. Motion was made and recommended the rezoning of this property to the council. Motion was made and seconded. Motion passed unanimously. Second rezoning request was for 601 Monte Street, change current zoning on from R2 single family and duplex to MP, which is manufacturing park, to allow the current and continued use of the expansion of the greenhouse currently on site. A motion was made to recommend the council to approve the rezoning request. The motion was made by and seconded. The motion was passed by all. Third rezoning request was to allow the rezoning of the vacant parcel owned by the city of New London to manufacturing park, to allow Northern Electric to expand operations and to include some retail activity in the form of professional service. There was a fair amount of discussion on whether this was the best use of the property. The lot is owned by the city and adjacent to 1705 Orville Drive. The proposed project would require a lot split in addition to the rezone request results to 2 similar size lots. Developer agreement would be allowed Northland to have first right of refusal should be the city move to sell the other section created by the split lot. After a lengthy discussion, a motion was made to recommend the council approve of the rezoning request. The motion was made and seconded, and it was approved by all, or approved by 9-1 nay. The fourth rezoning request was petition for S.C. Swiderski to allow for a beer garden. The rezoning would allow for the rezoning from planned development to B1 Central Business District. Motion was made and seconded to recommend the council. And motion was carried by all. Upcoming agenda items is just to continue discussion of the rezoning rewrite. Motion was made and seconded to adjourn the meeting at 6:24. Okay, I'm looking for an approval of the ordinance rezone for parcel 33, 30, 65, 612 to manufactured park, first reading.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, seconded by Mr. Fache. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. Motion carried 10-0.
Okay, I'm looking for an approval for ordinance rezoning parcel 33, 13, 11 through 33, 13, 122 R2 single family to 2 family residence, first reading. That would be Retzloff's property.
Motion was made by Mr. Ritchie. So at this point, we do not have a second. So it will get brought back to committee. Next one,
Consider approval of the ordinance rezone parcel 3330-43-500, 601 Mantis Street to manufactured park.
Second.
motion made by Mr. Ritchie, second by Ms. Magowski. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. Motion carried 10-0.
Consider a motion for ordinance rezone parcel 3312-77-112 to B1 Central Business District. First reading.
Second,
Motion made by Mr. Ritchie, seconded by Ms. Croy. Any further discussion? Please cast your ballot. Motion carried 10-0.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ritchie. I would just like to say thank you for those of you that stood up and speak. And, as you can see, comments out there that we don't always listen to people. I think you can see that we do listen a little bit, contrary to belief. So look for the next planning commission. It'll be on the agenda. And you can follow that, and it's posted on the city's website, ma'am.
okay.
And is also by the doors here by City Hall.
And there is no March Planning Commission.
Okay.
So I believe it's April 27th, if I remember correctly, is the next Planning Commission meeting.
Yet again, thank you for your guys' comments.
24th.
24th,
24th?
close.
Okay, moving on. Director of Public Works, Mr. Garsky.
Thank you, Your Honor. Construction on Oshkosh Street is progressing as planned. The contractor continues working on installing the sanitary maintenance structures. Tomorrow's rain and snow event might slow them down a little bit, but they'll keep progressing. In a couple of weeks, they'll be switching over to water main installation. When they make the switch over, they will be shutting down Wolf River Avenue at Oshkosh Street intersection. This is expected in probably 2 to 3 weeks. Please pay attention to Facebook. The website will update it when the closure's gonna take place. This closure is expected to last 1 to 2 days. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Garsky. Next, Director of Park and Recreation, Ms. Sol.
Thank you. All summer recreation programs are open for registration, so are gearing up for summer. We also have summer job openings open for seasonal staff. That's all the way from mowing to our gardener to parks caretaker positions and umpires, scorekeepers, Camp Hatton counselors and program instructors and lifeguards. So if your teen or older is looking for a job this summer, please feel free to send them our way. And then also on April 19th is our second annual Cup Hunt. It's a Easter egg hunt for dogs at the JC Dog Park. So dress your pup up in its Easter best and bring her or him out to the park. They have treats and everything and eggs for the dogs to find. It's a fun event. So that is on April 19th. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Sol.
Thank you.
Fire Department, Mr. Ritchie.
I have nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Utility Manager, Mr. Bassett.
Thank you, Your Honor. Water crews responded to a main break at Jennings and Dexter on March 3rd at 6:45 a.m. And then they returned to that area at 3:30 p.m. for a second main break. They finished those repairs around 8:30. On March 8th at 8:25, we received a call from the police department. A pole was struck on Mill Street by the Old London Wash. Crews replaced the pole. An employee from Amcor had fallen asleep. No customer's power was affected. And then last, I'd like to recognize both Barry Breitrick and Tony Burton for 2 years of service. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Bassett. I guess at this point, I would just like to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day week. Get out there and enjoy the festivities. Be safe and enjoy the parade, and let's hope we get some decent weather Saturday. Being that, looking for motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn. Second.
Motion made by Mr. Crochet, second to Mr. Ritchie. Any further discussion? We are adjourned.